What's up?
Shit, it is fucking super.
You ready to quit your job?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
Welcome everybody. It's March 1st, correct? We just
Yeah.
March 1st, 2026. We just started a war with Iran. It's currently 20 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But no, but so my name's Thomas. This is Chris. We're good friends. We've known each other about 2 years now, correct?
Yeah, probably about 2 years. Yeah.
And so the other day we were kind of sitting around, just talking, and as we do, and we're like, man, there's not enough podcasts out there. We need more. So we figured that maybe we could start something new and get on here and do this. No, in all honesty, Chris and I have had some really good conversations, really deep conversations. Everything from really light stuff to deep political conversations, to spiritual conversations, and one day we were kind of discussing. I want to say about a month ago, like, hey, it'd be cool to do a podcast, like actually broadcast this on a more public domain, and I think maybe we could share this with a larger audience, and people would gain from it. So yeah, this is a real sort of initial stages of what might be like a bigger, more consistent podcast. Right now, we're kind of experimenting, but yeah. So we, Chris, you want to introduce yourself, and then like
Yeah. I'm hi everybody. I'm Chris. I'm 28 years old, and I'm an alcoholic.
What's
Just kidding. We're
what's your sign?
I feel like there's an AA thing. I've known Thomas for a while. He's a good friend of mine now, and we have some really good conversations, and we just decided, you know what, we're going to put this out there for everybody to hear. And I think it's important for everybody to just gather all the information they can, and and that's kind of what we're here to do, is just put it out in the limelight and see what happens.
Absolutely, and hopefully we're able to sort of dance between the comedic and the also really dramatic. We might get into some really tough subjects. So hopefully we can fluidly cross that threshold and have fun with it, and maybe say some things that have some opinions that not a lot of people are being outspoken about. But yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think overall the goal is to have something outside of work to do other than just drive the truck. And then on top of that, explore something that we're both kind of passionate about.
Definitely. It's all about identity. We're searching for a new identity.
Right.
We're going to find that in this podcast, right?
Right. And it's something that it's just overall seeking the truth. Just kind of finding what evidence leads to what truth claims we decide to make.
Sure.
And they might change. Sometimes we might end up being wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
There may be things that we say today that we may say with arrogant confidence that later on down the road we're going to be like, wow,
Right.
that was wrong. That was seriously wrong. Like, what? How could I think that way? But I think as long as you have your heart in the right place and you're seeking truth, I think that's the important part, and I think that's going to get us closer to the actual truth.
Absolutely, and then there's been other podcasts that I want to say obviously have attempted to do this, just like a couple guys or a couple girls sitting around speaking honestly. I think one of the big differences what might sort of set us apart is how different our backgrounds are and sort of how we've met. So I'm originally from California, and Chris grew up here in Wisconsin where we're filming this, and as different as our backgrounds are, we share a ton in common, and so I think that'll be a unique kind of twist on things, and also because of our shared career and trucking, we have friends all over the country and actually outside of the U.S. With very different opinions, and so that'll contribute to sort of how we look at some of the things we discuss.
Yeah. It's going to be a journey, and I'm excited to go down it. I think this is an awesome thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. So, do we want to dive into the topics?
Sure. So this is kind of an experiment. This is our first go at it, and so we're both of us are attempting our lives to be a little more disciplined with somewhat of a structure to follow. And so we just kind of threw a couple topics out there to kind of explore. And so let's go down this list.
Sure. Yeah, I have it pulled up on your screen there. So
cool. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Perfect.
So both of us are kind of are right around the same time, kind of just getting like having our logical sequence that led us to Christianity.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big it's a big so when I first met Chris, I had a pretty deep belief in God. Would you say you had a deep belief in God?
I had always been agnostic to some sense of where I've always believed in God, and I grew up Christian, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it was like a certainty in my head, like I was like, yeah, the only one who knows is the guy upstairs, and I was just very lukewarm about it,
right.
Very very not even aware of the depth of it, but just something clicked along the way, probably around a similar time, just kind of going down some of these rabbit holes on some of the topics we'll get into later is kind of what led me to Christianity. And then I think for you, I think it was kind of sort of the opposite, is that you had already been down the rabbit holes, and then I had been new to the faith because of it, and then that kind of led you to the same way too.
Yeah, it was really strange. We kind of fed off of each other, and like maybe where I started to have like a lot of doubts in my religion and my faith, like Chris would step in right at the right time and kind of have some revelatory moment in his life where he would have some strength in belief, and he would be citing scripture to me, and so it kind of brought me back to faith when there were times when I sort of had lost faith. It's interesting, like I since I was 20, I had an experience where I started to believe in God. I had a deep belief in God, but I always had a hard time sort of calling myself a Christian, and I'm not really sure why that was. It was never that I disagreed with the Gospels or disagreed with Scripture. It was just I think that a lot of sort of popular, sort of mainstream, sort of Christian organizations kind of put a bad taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would talk to people about spiritual things, I'd always say, "Hey, I have a deep belief in God," and then I would for a lot of Christians, the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth is, I believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and it's always been hard for me, I would say, until fairly recently to say that. And I think that's mainly a cultural thing. Is that there had been some things in the past where like organized religion rubbed me the wrong way, but recently in having these conversations with Chris, I sort of realized that like I really need to hone my spirituality in and read more scripture and try to, as opposed to just spitballing it. I mean, a lot of people believe in God, right? But you do have to. We do have to work. We have to do a lot of self work, and we have to define what that belief means. So more so now than ever, I've been much more. It's been very important for me to read scripture and yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm kind of. I mean, we've been having a pretty good time, like just picking a book out of the Bible and just reading it, and then like you'll have your take on it, and then I'll have my take on it, and it's like two totally different perspectives. Like you'll pull something out of it I wouldn't have, and then I'll pull something out of it you wouldn't have, and it's really it's pretty awesome to be able to share that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny considering, a couple months ago, you go, so I'm going to speak for both of us for a second. Chris can disagree with me, but we're both sinners, right? Like Chris and I have made mistakes in life, and and we're very very much heterosexual males. So and what's funny is like 4 months ago we like Chris and I went to Mexico,
Yeah.
and then luckily we didn't do anything really stupid, but it's funny to think that we met like in this trucking atmosphere, did things like went to Mexico, we'd have a lot of fun when we were on these different tours, and we've done this whole 180 degrees where now a lot of times our conversations are, it's about God. It's about talking about scripture, and it's really authentic. It's really authentic because we don't just quote scripture or discuss something in the Bible, but we'll talk about our personal lives and maybe areas where we feel that we fell short. And I think that's super important. I think that's super important in faith, is that be willing to talk about yourself and like issues in your personal life and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to explore the doubts too, not just what you believe, but then where are your doubts at, because then you can share it and somebody can bring light to where it is that you kind of fall short.
Right.
Because that was a lot of my shortcomings. Like, I was like, I don't know, it's a book. Why do I believe it? I think there's a strong focus on nowadays of like teaching people what to believe and not necessarily why they believe it.
Why to believe it?
Yeah.
Right. What would you say? Where would you say you fall short in your faith?
If I had to pick somewhere, and really in my faith is just that's a hard question. You really hit me on with a curveball there. I would say, I'm thinking I would say some of I could probably say where I used to fall short. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but one of the things that I used to fall short on was just like believing in why this book is like, just because it's a book that everybody has passed down. Like, I always
It's the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've struggled with that too. Having read other, other books, others, followed other spiritual practices. Yeah, absolutely. I have struggled with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I ended up stumbling across a few people on the internet that kind of filled in those gaps in sort of my logic sequence, because it was always like here I am, and then here's to the truth, the real truth, the real God, and then there was like this stepping stone that I was never able to hit, and then like the people that I followed kind of filled that with like the sheer amount of Greek and Hebrew manuscripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls, Shroud of Turin,
Sure.
like all those things kind of like presented like evidence.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't believe that we're kind of called to like blind faith. I think we do have some duty to find evidence and have critical thinking.
Right.
I think we were given discernment for a reason.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And now that questioning, I think sometimes my habit of questioning, sometimes I take it to an extreme, and it actually can become a stumbling block, because my biggest struggle with faith is sort of this idea that, you know, for a long time I would take fragments of scripture, and I would actually even quote the Bible, and I would sort of take these little pieces of scripture and kind of run with it. But a lot of times I was using scripture to validate sort of my own life decisions that maybe didn't necessarily align with what the Bible was actually saying. So like my big struggle recently, because I've always been so just full transparency here. I've you know, for I want to say a good maybe 15 years been a pretty hardcore conspiracy theorist. And so recently reading the Bible is it's especially like after the four gospels, like in Acts and Romans. It's pretty clear that we're supposed to respect authority, and there's really there's not really this message of rebellion at all. You know, like even in the Old Testament, when the Hebrews are sent away to basically be slaves under the Babylonians, you know, God basically tells them like go plant a garden, like live a good life, like be good citizens under this new patronage, you know. And so there's this strong message throughout the Bible of just playing believing in God, being faithful, but as far as authority is concerned, play the game. And that's one area where I wrestle with God a lot, right? I especially nowadays when some you know things seem so bad,
to like turn the other cheek on it.
The other cheek, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the areas in faith where sometimes I still struggle, and I've had really blasphemous conversations with God, like how are we supposed to just let this go on? And so that's something I'll probably continue to struggle with, and I'm sure it's something that we can talk about, you know, in these podcasts. But
yeah, I think it's important to just kind of continue that struggle though, is because I think God sort of more looks at your conversations you have with Him and having that relationship. And, you know, like any relationship you have nowadays, it's not always pretty. You know, like some of your prayers are going to be like, you know, you said that some of them are kind of blasphemous. It's like, I think the real like fall from grace is when you stop talking to Him. Like when that communication's not happening. Like I think He would rather you wring out your heart, you know, and like pour it all out. And like, cause He says to come to Him as you are,
sure,
you know? So I think if you're going to try to put a mask on and try to say these nice prayers, when in reality, you're like, you know,
right.
What the hell are you doing to me? Then He's going to see right through that. So there's no point in even putting the mask on.
Sure. Yeah, and like even like some of that darkness on our heart, right? Like before we can clean up that darkness on our spiritual hearts, right? Like we first have to own that there's darkness there, and sometimes you almost have to live in that darkness in the open in front of God, so that He can expose that and help kind of cleanse you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was about 15.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that was
You
good.
want to go to the next one? I mean, it doesn't have to be super structured, but you know, actually, yeah, I do have this here. I should have had this up before. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? The typical job interview question.
Man. So where do I see myself in 5 years? A couple months ago, I was painting a very dark picture. I've gone through kind of a really rough year. Kind of a midlife crisis, like an inflection point where I'm just kind of looking at myself in the mirror and asking myself where I want to go, And so, to be honest, like goal setting and really trying to think about where I want to head is something I really have to reflect on. I would like to. So this is really general, but I would like to have more joy in my life, like 5 years from now. So not necessarily like be making more money. I mean that obviously helps, but just generally be having more peace of mind and more joy. That's my super my general answer. I think like with this podcast, or with other ventures we sort of reflected on. I definitely like to be doing something in life where I could be contributing more, maybe helping others, and just feeling like I think this is one of the most important things, in our sort of sense of humanity and sense of belonging, is just having a more concrete purpose.
Yeah.
Just kind of feeling like I'm doing what I was put on earth to do. Whether it's to help people, doing some creative endeavor or that type of thing. But just definitely having a stronger sense of purpose than just trying to get through the day and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me, just going on that, finding that sense of purpose. I think a lot of it is trying to follow God's will.
Surrender to it.
And surrender to it. Even if it's not something that we want, you know, because I think it was somewhere, I couldn't tell you where it was, but in the Bible, but along the lines of like the root of all evil is from the heart of man. I can't quote it directly, but really just it's not going to be a natural, like to follow his will.
Well, that's a big struggle for me. Like I kind of grew up in this family environment where I was told a lot, like always trust your heart.
Yeah.
And recently, I recently was going to church, briefly, because I'm a truck driver and I was just spending a lot of time at home, so I was able to go to a local church, and one of the members of the church actually said to me, he's like, never ever trust your heart.
Yeah.
Which is a real contradiction to our culture and what our culture tells us. But there is this idea that our hearts will deceive us, and so so as far as purpose goes, it might not necessarily be easy. It'd be an easy road.
Yeah, it's not always going to be concrete, but I think in some ways that sort of like never finding it, like, because like I feel if you actually find your purpose, then you're
what would that look like?
You're just going to settle.
That's a good. That's a good question. Like, what would that actually feel like and look like?
Right.
I mean, it would be just like total bliss, 24 hours a day, 7
right?
days a week.
But I think the never ending struggle to find it is kind of what brings you to do the great things and follow the will. So I think I look at it as a blessing. So,
and just the fact that we're having this conversation is so key. It's so key. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, so like just along the lines of life goals. So you're going to start at a new company now. So what's that? What do you think that's going to be like?
So 5 months ago, we both had this revelation that we were going to leave trucking and become airline pilots. It was I'm admitting here, I kind of have a history of having these sort of such optimistic ideas that they're borderline delusional. I think on Chris's part that there was. I think that Chris really could make it work, but in my case it was pretty impractical. But I think we kind of fed off of each other, and we were really tired of trucking. Mm-hmm. We wanted to get out of it. So we were talking about leaving trucking, going to $100,000 airline pilot school, and following that route. So for me, I actually went home and I really thought I was going to do this, and then reality kind of set in. It would have taken 2 years before I'd actually be a bona fide paid airline pilot, and that's if I passed everything I needed to pass. If I was able at 46 years old to go through all the physicals with flying colors. So it just really kind of obviously it became super impractical, and so ultimately, I'm coming back out on the road. I'm actually going to be doing flatbed. So in the trucking industry, there's this is a super overgeneralization, but there's van and there's flatbed, and I guess you could say there's tanker. Of course, there's all these other intermediate categories as well, but flatbedding's a little bit different than van. What Chris is still doing, and what I was doing before, and that it's just different. It's just a slightly different skill set, job set. So I'm hoping that it'll be just different enough to kind of make my job interesting again, and kind of, I don't know, add some flavor to the trucking industry for me. So I'm trying to be positive. I'm diving in. Again, I had this huge existential crisis where I thought I was going to leave trucking, and I'm the type of person when I'm done with something and I walk away from it, it's like I'm done with it. Like my whole mind is just like, hey, that's through, that's finished. And this is the first time in my life where I'm actually backtracking on that. So it's going to be interesting. I start school on Monday. This is in Fargo, North Dakota, where I'm going to try this new career out. So I start school on Monday, and yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be interesting. It's also going to be tough, and I'm just as curious as you might be as where this is going to end up.
Yeah, I'll be along for the ride. I'm sure maybe someday we'll get a phone call like, to hell with this, I'm out of here. You know?
Hey, don't count me out.
No, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of the way you and I both operate, is that it's very hard. I find it very hard to just narrow into something and just sort of accept that like what I'm doing today at 28 years old is going to be what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like there's no ascending through any sort of hierarchy, whether it's materially, spiritually, whatever, just like accepting this plateau.
Sure.
That like I have reached the peak, Yeah. But it was that was a rather bleak statement I made, but I do wish the best for you. I hope it works out well. I think it'll be a good breath of fresh air, or at least a different version of trucking. I know through the different jobs I've done, just changing the type of job in trucking you're doing kind of helps. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it'll bear some fruits for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope so. It's funny. It's like just the fact that our old company was really pretty much from like the Midwest out to the East Coast, and unless we were doing entertainment, then it would be all 48 states and a lot of times Canada. Mm-hmm. But with this job, I should pretty consistently be going to most of the continental United States, which that's important to me. Like I get bored. I get really bored staying in the sort of the same area of the country. It's a weird mentality as truck drivers.
Yeah. Because
you do start. I mean, this sounds kind of cheesy and cliche, but you kind of start to look at like the like your backyard is like states and not just your backyard, and so you do kind of want that variety of different horizons, different highways, different dialects, different sunrises, sunsets. Like that's kind of, for me, that's what makes it interesting. I've done regional stuff, I've done local stuff, and I just get bored really quick.
Yeah, I mean it's all about some sense of spontaneity, kind of just fulfilling that every day, finding our own little ways to fulfill that.
Sure. Yep. It's never been about, I mean, God, again, cliche, but it's never been about the paycheck.
Yeah.
It's like we spend so much of our lives doing these things, and whatever your profession is, but we spend so much of our life in that profession. Like you have to find a reason to enjoy it. Like otherwise it's just nonsense. You're gonna,
right. When you spend 90% of your life and hating it, like you either need to change what you're doing or you need to find a way to enjoy it.
Definitely. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, what they always said to me in the Army was embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
That's actually a great topic too. We got to talk about our enlistments. That could be
Yeah.
a whole podcast. We should
Yeah.
do that like around Veterans Day or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
We both have really good stories regarding our enlistment and different take on a lot of that stuff as well.
Not like your typical story of like happily ever after. So there is no.
And then the president handed me my Bronze Star.
Right. Yeah, I got a Purple Heart and no, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But a story for another time for sure. But yeah, I mean, some exciting things happening life wise. I mean, and that's kind of where doing something like this on the side is nice, so that you have something to look forward to outside of work, which is kind of where I want something where I can cut back on hours. So I'd have time to do something like this more often. Like hopefully maybe this goes somewhere, and I can have an excuse to take less hours.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
But overall, even as long I'll work my 70 hours as long as I got this at the end of the week. I got something to look forward to.
Sure, definitely. People make it work, man. People make it work. So,
and it's a social.
Why not us? Why not us?
It's a social project too.
Glass half full. Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a social project. So it's like it's not just something self-fulfilling for me. It's something that kind of helps others too. So that makes it more fulfilling.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also one thing Chris and I aren't afraid of is we're not afraid of sharing. We've both gone through deep shit, and we're not afraid of reflecting on what that was like. Talking about the blood and guts of some of these experiences, and I think just sharing that will help some people.
Yeah, and it's a war that's fought on the inside and the out.
It is.
Some days it's physically struggling, and some days it's mental, and it's for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know how long we've been at it right now, but I'm thinking maybe take a short pause.
Okay.
And then come back. I feel like we're kind of around the 40-minute mark. I feel like it was just before 6.
Yeah.
When we started. So
Sounds good.
I think we'll do a pause here. We'll be back shortly, and then we'll continue on to the rest of the topics. All right, we're back. Yeah, that was a good break. So diving back in, it looks like we're going to touch on some of the history of the political parties. I just think it's so crazy how everything's black and white. Everything's got to be one way or the other. Like it's you got to fall on one side of the aisle or the other is sort of like the common narrative amongst people is that like it doesn't even matter if their views are slightly contradicted by that party. They will morph it to that party if that's their party of choice.
I mean, how many people do you know when you honestly have been given time with them, and maybe on the surface they say like I'm a hardcore Republican or a hardcore liberal. When you get to have a conversation with them for a while, how many people do you honestly know that truly fit that sort of archetype of the Republican or the liberal?
Yeah, there's always shortcomings somewhere.
I found that the longer I live, rarely do I ever meet someone that can really be classified in such simple terms. Like the more you go into the nuanced, actual political issues, the more we're complex, So I'm sort of answering my own question. I would say I've yet to meet someone that truly fits that mold. I mean, those people are out there.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that it's kind of frustrating because I don't fall either way. I feel like I'm a very critical thinker, and I kind of pick my own way on every issue. It's not like you know, this person agreed with me on one issue and they align with this party. So then when they brought up this issue that I had no opinion on, now all of a sudden I have an opinion on it because it aligns with the party. And I've just never been that. Well, I shouldn't say never. I was fairly heavily. I mean, I still am heavily conservative in most of my views, but I mean, there's it used to fall a lot more along Republican lines, but it's really kind of deteriorating down to just sort of the conservatism of it and Jesus. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
You know, because
I mean, I sounded a little bit facetious when I said that, but truth be told, you know, right? It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's important to not be so blind in your views that you just go along with what people tell you.
Sure.
And just take things for face value. Like, do your own research,
right?
Dig into it, find out, you know, and be humble to be able to figure out, like, maybe I was wrong on this. I felt very strongly about it, but then now I can see the holes in my theory.
Right.
You know,
right.
But it's really growing this division of, like, where you have to pick a side, and a lot of it kind of came out of COVID.
Yeah.
With where it was like you either got the vaccine or you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and each side was pitted against each other as one was like just morally evil.
Right.
In each other's eyes. And I think it's good to get away from that, because that to me is just so divisive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a little confession to make, and so I'm definitely more conservatively leaning as well, but I haven't always been. And so here's my confession. Here's where I make a lot of enemies. I went through a period in my life where I was naive, and again, this isn't an attack on liberals, but for my own naivete is kind of why I was looking for the political party that was going to save the world, right? And so, was well intended, and so I actually voted for Obama's first term. I know, I'm sorry, but you know, my wife's Latina, and at the time, I think her and I were just so disgruntled and disgusted with the political system in general. We didn't really think we were voting for a liberal. We thought we were truly voting for true change, right? Like, to backtrack a little bit, but before we, you know, completely attack that side, which now I think there's a lot of reason to attack that side. But when Obama ran, there were a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that voted for him, because he ran on the platform, not necessarily like I'm the you know, Mr. Liberal president and I'm going to do this and that. He was just saying, look, we're going to go. We are going to change. We are going to change the country. Like, we're going to go after, like, these corporations that you know, have this kind of free pass to get away with whatever they want, and so he seemed, the way he presented himself, to be just this complete break with all tradition, whether liberal tradition or conservative tradition. So that's kind of my confession. And what was interesting is, after Obama came into office, a huge number of people, like especially the African American population, started to see that, you know, they were a lot of African Americans voted for him because he was African American, which, you know, I guess understandably that would make sense. But when he was brought into office, he very quickly seemed to be just part of the same club as every politician before him, and there was this big change in America where a lot of people truly began to question political parties. I mean, you won't hear a lot about this in the news, but this was happening. Do you remember Ducati Park?
Mm-mm.
So after Obama was brought into the office, and then he proved just to be this super corporate politician, just doing the same policies as Bush's and conservatives and liberals before him. There was like really the country was the closest time ever in history, like in recent history, of just completely wanting to throw it all out. Like this, none of these politicians are actually serving us, right? They're saying whatever we want to hear. they're getting into office, and then they're just essentially serving people with a lot more money and power than you and me.
Lobbyists.
Yes. Thank you. They're basically, getting our vote to get into office, but then they're slaves of the lobbyists, and so a lot of Americans started to see this, and there was this big kind of like underground revolution taking place. Actually, this is kind of when I first started to become a conspiracy theorist. But what was interesting at this time is there was this big movement in New York City where people were protesting. It wasn't against a free market, so it wasn't a socialist movement. It was against big business and the corporation using lobbyists to control certain sectors of the economy. So there were people in New York City that had started to have like these demonstrations. They're very peaceful, but they started to have these demonstrations. And I actually got to go to Ducati Park. They were camping out in this park, in Lower Manhattan, in Ducati Park. Like people had set up tents, and one of my friends like said, "Hey man, let's." And we didn't consider ourselves activists, but he's like, "Hey, let's go check this out. Let's see what they're really saying."
Mm-hmm.
And what was fascinating is we went, and it was literally like all types of people were there. You had libertarians there. You had conservatives that were kind of more leaning towards Ron Paul. Ron Paul, I think at the time was running for office, and then you had hippies. Like you did like full on your typical image of a liberal. You had hippies, you had artists, you had all these different people. And this is the only time I've ever seen this in America, where people still disagreed. Like they were not on the same page, with each other. But people were having conversations and getting along, and they were saying, "Okay, I only agree with 10% of what you say, and you only agree with 10% of what I say, but we do both agree there's something wrong, like something needs to be changed in our system." And so these conversations were taking place. It was fascinating. Now, apparently, there like a lot of the race baiting and how things have become so far extreme now. Mm-hmm. That apparently, again, this is kind of a conspiracy theorist, but there was this big fear among the institutional elites where they're like, we can have far leftists and we can have far rightists, but we can't have people that are actually coming together and genuinely trying to work with each other and solve problems. So apparently, like right after this, then you start to see a lot of like the old race stuff happen again, because they had to reestablish this sort of war between races, this war between the rich and the poor, and in many respects they've been successful. Like they've turned us again. So there was this brief period where people were questioning political parties, and then they had to like turn us back into like, hey, you need to pick a team for the Super Bowl because that's the way this works, and they've divided us again.
Yeah, they're just fighting back and forth. I was just talking to you about how there was that 18th century writer that wrote the article about how it was the whole reason that they painted Republican and Democrat as the elephant and the donkey,
right,
was because it's a circus. It's a circus. It's really like if you really break down the values of like 99% of these politicians, like it's them still working for the higher elite class, just doing it in a different way and really propagandizing this war, like you were saying, against one side and the other.
Sure.
And drawing this line in the sand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people with extreme opinions are much easier to direct. So like let's say you are at this political sort of acme, like you're at the top, and you almost rather have people that are super socialistic or people that are super conservative, right, that are emotional and they're going to stand 100% on either our platform, because at least you can steer them. Right. The people that you can't steer are the people that want to have these conversations and want to say, wait, stop. Like this issue is not that simple,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's okay to have differing views,
Right.
That it's not like there's been set up like this moral hierarchy or like a moral superiority that if you don't feel this way on this issue, that like there's like a moral disconnect between these two individuals, and it's not. It's a political indifference.
Yes.
You know, it's not that it's not that severe.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 I think there's issues that both sides. Again, I mean, I think like this was being talked about in Ducati Park. Like, there's issues that both sides agreed on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, this is a sensitive subject, but like the Federal Reserve, right?
Right.
Is both the left and the right like we're kind of saying like there is a problem that this group has this monopoly on money printing, you know?
Right.
And lobbying. I don't think that you could really find a you know, someone in the far left or someone in the far right that would say, you know what, I actually think lobbyists should have more power.
Right.
And you know, I mean, they say something like 50% of the time, at least 50% of the time, a politician spent in Washington is dealing with the lobbyists and not their constituents.
Oh yeah,
And that's a problem.
That's like you said, 90% of the time that's what they're spending on is figuring out what their lobbyist buddies
want. Yeah. So those would be interesting talking points, but you're never gonna see anybody talk about those things because they'll be deplatformed immediately, you know.
Right. We'll see if the sieve makes the air.
What's that?
I said we'll see if the sieve makes the air.
Yeah, I know. I mean, let's talk about something more current, like immigration and ICE, right?
Right.
Like what's so strange about that? I mean, I kind of have a strange opinion because for the last 22 years of my life, like I've kind of been attached to like, you know, a Latino family, like immigrants, you know, that they have stories of immigrating here. And you know, they're all legal now, but there's, you know, I have family members on my wife's side that have stories of illegal immigration, and I've heard those stories over tears. Like they would tell me these stories and the circumstances for why they were forced to come here illegally to survive. So I've kind of seen both sides, but what's happening now with a lot of the illegal immigration stuff is people that before would say like, I'm against illegal immigration, but I'm also against what ICE is doing. It's become so divided, but that now people are just saying, you know what? I support anything, even illegal immigrants are doing, because it's like you have to totally pick sides, you know?
Yeah. It's 100%, and then there's like in these like very severe situations, like I mean, like what's going on, or I mean, I don't know how much it is now. It sounded like they kind of backed off in Minneapolis, but with just this idea of inviting the federal government to come in,
Sure.
and like I mean, if you were to look at it outside of the issue of like I mean, because like I mean, I'm a conservative person. Like I definitely believe that people should enter the country legally,
Right.
and you know, go through a port of entry, visas, the whole 9 yards. Follow the procedures. They're there for a reason. Do I think maybe they could be relaxed a bit? Yes. To make it
and to be fair, like what country truly has open borders?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
you don't have a country if your borders are totally open.
Right.
Like we can't really just go into Mexico and set up shop
Right.
there. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Or
But-
try to go to Canada. Like it's really hard. Try to get as an American, try to get a work permit in Canada.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I think but before I start appeasing too far to the right side, before they're like, yeah, he's a Trumper,
And for the record, my wife and I voted for Trump his first term. So
Yeah.
wrap your head around that. Like we, you know, again, we were young parents and a lot was going on in our lives, but we voted for Obama's first term and we voted for Trump's first term.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a as far as people.
Two extremes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two extremes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one end to the other. But before I get too like in that realm of favoring the right, I mean, it's hard for me to sit there and watch the federal government just like apply some sort of like almost martial law.
Sure. That's what it did feel like in some spots. Yeah. It's all about precedences, right? Like whatever precedence is set now, maybe that's in your favor. It's like maybe maybe you really like vanilla ice cream, right?
Right.
And so the federal government comes in and says, we're going to mandate vanilla ice cream. Like, you have to eat vanilla ice cream.
Right.
That may seem really cool because I like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
But that mandate sets a precedence, and the fact that they could just come in and force people to eat something that some people don't want to eat down the road, there'll be a change of guard, and now they're going to make you chocolate ice cream, or
Right.
you know what I mean. So it's precedence.
And you're definitely allergic to chocolate.
And you're
ice
definitely
cream.
allergic to chocolate ice cream. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. There's a lot of checks and balances. I traditionally, even conservatives traditionally would have said, like, hey, we definitely want, like, there's a problem with illegal immigration in the country. There's a problem with these, illegals that have these criminal backgrounds are getting away with a lot of things. But there's also a problem with a government, having this authority, this unchecked authority. I mean, that's equally as dangerous, right?
Right.
So,
Where there's no checks and balances. Like, I mean, there still has to be, I believe me, from being in the Army, I get very sick of bureaucracy too. I think sometimes some of that red tape gets in the way, but in some ways, in some instances, it's very much necessary. There's a due process. There's a way these things are done, and like they sort of have overstepped that, and like the right is sort of just giving that the thumbs up because it aligns with one of the issues that they've propagandized them to feel strongly about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like even though I may feel that way, like in the scope of the two issues between federal government just allowing itself to have jurisdiction in a city,
right,
and illegal immigration, like the federal government, it trumps that for me. Like it's a bigger issue.
Yeah. I agree. I also think that the optics on a lot of this stuff are so extreme that there's definitely a deeper agenda being pulled, and they're actually trying to create, maximum emotional sort of reaction, right? Like they want immigrants and supporters of immigrants, and perhaps even supporters of legal immigrants, to get really hyped up, and on the other end they want people that are more sort of pro a really strong federal government and strong law and order type thing, to get really hyped up on the other end. And just, I mean, some of the optics in the media are just, I mean, it's gonna incite emotion no matter where you stand. Like it's gonna get you upset. I mean, watching 20 years ago, you wouldn't see a repeat of a video of a person being murdered on television.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't see that. Ironically, like in Telemundo and stuff, in Spanish news, like they're much more open about showing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years ago, you'd see something in Mexico, like if someone was shot, a lot of times they would just show it and they would blur out the person's face, and that was surprising to me.
Yeah.
But that's happening in our media now, where they're just showing this stuff over and over again to get this emotional response. And whatever you think about the good, right? What's her name? The first woman that was killed in Indiana, in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I think it was Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Yeah.
Like whatever you thought about whether she should have been there or whether she shouldn't have been there, or her race or her political viewpoint, like it's still someone dying. It's someone dying on camera, and they just kept showing it, and it made people pick sides and get really emotional about the sides they picked.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, if you're being truly open and honest, I mean, that was bad. There was a life lost there, and then it's also the same thing with like the Kirk shooting, is that like it was also a life lost, regardless of how you felt on the views. Like it's still a life lost.
I actually had a friend say to me who is more liberal, left leaning, but he's always been a super pragmatic guy. He's left, and like we disagree on a lot of political issues, but he's always been a pretty humane person. Like,
right.
I remember when that first came out and I brought it up. He's like, I don't really care that the guy was killed.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, he was murdered on national television. Like that doesn't bother you at all.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, no, I don't really. But the tone that he said it was almost like, well, good. Like he which he wasn't a white nationalist, but some people painted him as this white racist nationalist, which is
Right.
false. But a lot of people, even if he was a white racist nationalist, which he wasn't, it's still murder on national television, and like a really gruesome murder on national television.
Right.
And the fact that there's people out there just saying, oh well,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. It's just crazy the place we're in right now.
Yeah.
So Chris, we probably gone over our 15 minutes talking.
Yeah,
about,
but I feel like I feel like it was a good topic, and we really dove deep on it, so that's good.
What would you say? So if you had to define like some key issues that are important to you, what would those issues be?
Politically, or
politically.
I think key issues really are pretty much just this class division. I mean, the housing rate market is just skyrocketing. Interest rates are through the roof. It's getting harder and harder for my generation to be able to buy a house, and not even like out of like affordability. Sometimes, like I can afford my apartment just fine,
Right.
But having issues getting approved for a mortgage because of credit, so then I'm stuck in an apartment,
Sure.
and then like. Because I think buying a home is
that's almost sounding like a liberal complaint. You know? But it's not. I mean, we're talking about housing, right?
It's just a general life complaint. Like I'm having it's not, when the interest rates are through the roof, and then plus when the banks won't even approve half of these half of the people my age because their credit scores are nowhere in the range that they want them to be, even though they can show financial responsibility. It used to be a thing with mortgages to have manual underwriting,
right,
to where they could look at your work,
look at your real situation.
at your real situation instead of what's on your credit report, and just going off what TransUnion says.
So like a liberal like a text. I'm just going by textbook.
Yeah.
Right? A textbook liberal take would be like let's say with Mandani in New York. Would be like, we're gonna fix this problem by raising property tax by 10%, right?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, right? Or we're gonna put caps on. I mean, I'm kind of jumping topics right now, but I'm talking like renters, like people to be able to afford to pay rent in New York City.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna raise property tax, but we're gonna put caps on what a landlord can charge its tenants. Like from a basic economic standpoint, this is super incongruous. Like this is impossible, right? Like me, again, economically more conservative leaning, I would say. The reason things are so expensive, it's why are we letting the Chinese buy up these grand swaths of property all over the U.S. Like
companies like BlackRock
or companies like BlackRock. I would say being pro free market. Let's have laws and rules that keep the market free.
Right.
And I think if that were possible, the natural market effects would lower prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that boils down to affordability. It's kind of sort of the same thing like with healthcare, because I don't think free healthcare is the answer. No, but I think affordable should not be like so like out of the question that like if I don't have insurance, this is going to be like a death sentence financially.
Right. Right. Well, a lot of that too is like barriers to entry.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there was more competition within medicine, and where some of these smaller companies could sort of enter the medical fields with let's say
so
alternative
they
drugs and stuff.
Yeah, they could have like a lower base of where like you have an alternative to go. Whereas right now they just charge the ridiculous prices and everybody just has to pay them. Whereas it's affordable for the people in the top 1% or even lower than that. even just a little bit lower than that. But I think right now, I think when I look, the mean average income's right around 70,000.
Okay.
But in the United States, but it's crazy because I think shortly before I graduated, it was like 40,000. And it's the adjustment does not match what
Yeah.
the prices are now.
Yeah.
And if there's not that competition, like you said, with the different, I think a lot of that is set up through regulation. Like when when the government goes and makes all these regulations, I'm like, okay, I want to go out and I want to be a health insurance or I want to be a healthcare provider, and then they make all these licensure requirements and all these ropes you got to jump through, and it makes it cost that much for them.
Yeah.
And
So,
then
so what do you mean? You and I can't go out and start a healthcare company or
they'll make it like absolute
impossible.
They'll make it financially impossible for you to do it. And then like I think even like what is it? Even for car insurance, I think there's only like 3 insurance companies, and they've been the same 3 insurance companies for like I don't know how many years. Like they might be like different branches or sister companies or whatever, but when it boils down to these insurance companies within the United States, they're the only ones that have the licensure to be able to like be an insurance company.
Interesting. So there's no real competition,
right?
In other words,
right? It's all like. Like the pyramid starts here, like think about like Pfizer or something, and then there's like little sub companies underneath that, and then like so you see all these companies, and you're like, oh, it's a free market. There's competition.
I have so many choices.
I
have so many choices.
All goes right to the same people.
Yeah, look at all this room for activities, right?
Yeah. I'll edit in the Step Brothers video.
Yeah, a lot of it is illusion of the free market, and I guess it's, again, saying I'm more conservative is I think that the Conservative Party has disappointed me as late, because it seems like there's a lot of hypocrisy, and there's a lot of sort of like paying a blind eye, like conservatives generally are super pro business and pro market, pro free market. I mean, I guess to truly be free market, you're more libertarian, but they're not addressing stuff like this, that if we really don't have a free market anymore.
No.
So sometimes as a thought experiment, I was wondering, like, well, what if there was a law that you couldn't have health insurance? Like they eliminated health insurance. So now all these health providers would be forced to literally market to you, the actual end user.
Right.
They would be forced to market to you to get you to come in and pay what you can pay in order for them to stay in business. I think it would transform medicine, because now they would really have to set competitive price points. See, the reality is like when we go to have get stuff done, through our doctors or specialists or whatever. Like we're rarely the ones paying. We're rarely the ones actually seeing that full amount of what we owe, right?
Right.
A lot of times it's just through the insurance companies. And so this inflates prices because the end user isn't actually the one getting to set the price on things, which is not free market.
Oh, and the billing department will change the price depending on what insurance company you have.
It's crazy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like
exactly.
Like you get you almost get like the non-insurance discount.
Right.
like like okay, so I don't have insurance, so this bill's going to be $1,000. But you have insurance, your deductible's $1,000, and but then this bill is now $6,000.
How's that even legal?
Yeah,
how's that even
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
crazy.
So
those are the issues that matter. I think they matter to both of us, and yeah.
Yeah, because I think everybody deep down just wants to afford a living, financial security, financial freedom, in the sense of like not to be rich, but to just be able to live comfortably, not to have to break our backs to make a living, and have a few things on the side that we do, versus right now to work and I'm very lucky in my situation with the finances and the job I have. But for somebody my age that might have a wife and kids, and they might not have the opportunity to work a job like I have, that they're not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
constantly living paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely. And not, I mean, and to not have that expectation, like I'm all about quality of life, right?
Right.
But when I say quality of life, like to be perfectly honest, and I don't think you call me lazy, like I would like to work a little bit less and have more time with my family and more time, to enjoy nature and do other activities. But I wouldn't say like I want to work less and have more time to do these things and also live in a 5,000 square foot house.
Right.
Like not at all. Like I'd be willing to sacrifice like material things to have a little more free time, to actually enjoy experiences and get out there, So yeah.
Right, because a lot of the enjoyable things don't even really cost money.
Right. Right.
They're just things you go do. Like you go for a run, you exercise, just
Sure.
things that don't really cost money.
Sure. And then even in the job specter, like no matter what you do, whether you're a nurse or you're a truck driver or you're you write code, for some tech company. Like every business, I think that we want to feel that we actually have some voice in the company that we work in, and I feel like people are feeling like less and less like they actually have a vote,
Yeah.
in wherever they work, and there's less opportunity to actually really participate in the sort of the gears and the mechanisms of that company, like
Right.
even with trucking, like when I first started it. Like there's always a piece of me like, oh, down the road maybe I can play a bigger role,
Right.
and it's like nothing's geared that way anymore. It's like they need.
There's no growth.
There's no growth. Like they're not going to take you off the road and put you in HR.
Right.
They
Because they need you where you are because you do your job very well.
yeah, and they don't want you to know necessarily the things that the HR girl knows.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's like this compartmentalization. And I'm not saying that there was ever an Eden in the workspace where things were perfect, but yeah, I mean that's probably a whole nother topic.
Yeah. So where are we at?
Yeah,
here?
where are we at? Back on track.
Yeah.
On track.
No, that was a good good topic there. Let me go back to the thing here. This will be a fun one.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm trying to think of a good way to start this. How many? Maybe I'll let you start it.
So these topics are obviously there's not necessarily smooth segues. We just kind of let's come up with a bunch of different topics, different subjects that we can talk about. And so the next thing we came up is kind of like sexual immorality and like the whole.
There we go. It's out there.
Yeah,
we spit it out.
I mean,
said the S word.
Yeah, just and this is sounding super conservative, but just like how we live in this world where behaviors that traditionally would have been deeply shunned are now almost being pushed on people and totally acceptable, and what is that doing to us as individuals? What is that doing to us as a society? Even from because again, Chris and I are we have a deep belief in God and we're Christians. Even from a secular point of view, like what are some signs of decay, or some signs, some problems sort of that you can see on the horizon from a lot of this sexual liberalizing, like the normalization of OnlyFans,
Right.
like pornography.
Wasn't Rome very sexually active and very
Towards the end there was a major
right before the end.
decay
Yeah.
before the Republic fell apart. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just something to, because history repeats itself. I mean, like you said, even from a secular standpoint, it's very it's something that I don't think should be ignored. Especially with like a lot of like the streaming services of like everything's so readily available.
Yeah.
Like it used to be like, a little TMI, but when you're a kid and then like you wanted to look at porn, it was like, you found you had to find somebody with a magazine,
And it was taboo.
It was
you still
taboo.
felt like you were breaking the rules. I mean, maybe I'm dating myself, but it's like looking at the lingerie section in the Sears catalog.
Yeah, and Victoria's Secret.
You didn't necessarily feel good about it. Like
Yeah.
you knew you were breaking some sexual moray,
Yeah.
And now it's perfectly available. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's way too accessible. Like, because now, I mean, it's like, well, okay, I'm gonna go grab my phone and there I go. 2 seconds, I've got it pulled up.
Yeah.
No filters, nothing.
Yeah.
Just straight.
I always laugh. He's it's like sometimes I think this is all by design too, right? Like you go on your phone.
Yeah.
And everything's tiled. It's not like I mean, they should design phones this way, right? Like there's no hierarchy on your phone.
Right.
It's just tiles. It's just these little pieces, and everything has the same size and a fair amount of real estate on your home screen.
Right.
And like literally, like you're like here's my Coinbase account.
Yeah.
And then over here I like to play Sudoku.
Yeah.
And then here's the internet. It's like here's my bank account, and it's like, okay, I'm checking my bank account now. I'm online. I'm looking at porn, right?
Right.
And it almost makes you feel like, well, what I'm doing isn't guilty because everything on here is of equal value.
Right.
And but it really isn't of equal value.
That's an interesting point. I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel that it's totally organic. It's just to kind of make it feel like, hey, it's just a choice. It's just you push that icon and I push this icon, and it is what it is. It's free choice.
And I think there's a lot of things that show that like we were talking, even from a secular standpoint, even to separate faith from the argument, is that it's just not good for a person to be sexually promiscuous. So like like your dopamine levels constantly satisfying them like that.
Haven't they done studies where they actually found that the dopamine levels in someone watching porn is higher than someone with
chronic
heroin or something?
like chronic masturbation or people with sex addictions. Yeah.
Yep. It's really so even from a secular point of view, it's really bad for you.
It is.
It's really bad for you.
Yeah. So
and I think also it changes the way we look at each other as human beings. Like it
objectifying.
We objectify, and it's not necessarily say, oh, well, because every time I look at a woman, I'm thinking of she's a sexual object.
Right.
We just human beings are just like these bots with this pleasure potential, and we lose a lot of our humanity with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not looking at that person as a human being and a soul within that. It's just purely flesh.
Purely flesh. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and then it's destroying people's lives. I mean, because it's so easy for my generation that it's been so like
normalized
that you have these young women of my generation that are growing up and then they're getting into these OnlyFans accounts, and they don't even know what they're doing, and then you see later on where they have this new life revelation that they finally figure it out and they're just destroyed. They made their money, but at what cost?
Sure. Yeah. I would like to believe the pendulum's going to swing back the other way.
I would hope so. Yeah.
I mean, I think we're seeing signs of it already.
I think even in like men in my generation are kind of making a shift of like, as a lot of the millennial, because I'm like right on the border of millennial and Gen Z. I'm like a year just a year into Gen Z, so technically Gen Z, but a lot of the millennial was sort of like the EDMs, the raves, just going out party, have sex with everybody, and then now in mine, it's like we're having the results of that is that the dating market is filled with a lot of women who also objectify men too, to where
I
they
think-
look at them as like a material checklist. And then
Definitely.
if you don't check every box on that,
Yeah.
I can toss you to the side
Yeah.
and I'm gonna grab this over here, kind of like your phone. It's like everything has equal value. I'm gonna
Yeah.
find my favorite.
Yep.
Get rid of this one, get rid of
It-
that
it-
one, and then that's the one that's the one I want. Prince Charming with $5 million in a mansion and
With a blue check mark, right?
with a blue check mark, and then
Yeah.
he sleeps with them, and then they're gone the next morning. So
Yeah, yeah. I think that was like the big plot twist with all this coming out is realizing that you can put men down all day long, and I'm like we have a tendency to objectify and all that good stuff, but what we're finding is that women, like you just said, I'm just kind of re-emphasizing what you said, is women actually objectify as well, and women are super materialistic.
yes,
And I mean that's real humbling, I think, to the male's ego.
Yeah.
Is maybe that's a silver lining.
It is.
like we've been given some of our own medicine.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sad on both sides, and it's not to say like women are evil or anything, but because I think women have equal, like they're just as important, as men are. But it's sad.
Yeah.
It really is because there's a lot of men, myself included, that you want to find something that's true and real and not conflated with instant gratification based thinking.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I've been married for 22 years, which is really an anomaly in my life because I'm not very consistent with anything. I've just kind of been fortunate with this one thing. And yeah, people don't want to work anymore. People don't realize, that relationships take a lot of work. It's more work than pleasure.
Right.
And there's something to be said about like our ancestors where marriages were a lot more arranged, and a lot of people nowadays want to say, well, that was horrible, like how primitive people used to be. But there's something to be said about those couples that with those arranged marriages where maybe there was no attraction in the beginning, maybe they had absolutely nothing in common, but they made it work for the sake of the family. And you don't hear a lot of stories about this now, but I've heard stories where people would end up falling in love, like they would from that commitment, that family commitment and raising kids together. Later in life, they would fall in love.
Right.
They actually gain tremendously by going through that process. Where now it's like if it's all about that perfect match you got to find. It's all about pleasure. And as soon as things sort of don't work out, you should separate and break up.
Right. I think I had watched a bit that Jordan Peterson had put out on that with marriage. Is that it's like you're not going to end up with a good person. Like marriage is kind of looking at each other like I'm full of snakes,
Yeah.
and you're full of snakes too. And like we're gonna figure out, how to
tame each other's snakes.
yeah,
Okay.
sort of, and like just sort of get to the good part, 'cause
Sure. Yeah.
and it's and two is love is an action, not a feeling.
Awesome.
I think it's an act of doing something that is selfless towards somebody. It has no evolutionary purpose for you to do it, but you do it anyways out of a feeling you have in that sense. And it's not like, because I think it's a common, and I think that's a lot of where we ended up with a lot of the sexual immorality is that separating love from lust.
Right. Yeah.
And I think, and when you start with lust, you think it's love,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So keep it in your pants. That's the message today. That is the message today. Speaking of sexual immorality, I mean, at least it's not as bad as some of the things that are in the files.
Right.
at least all the people that we just ridiculed. There's a group that's on a whole nother level of just very bad stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, people are talking about the files these days.
Yeah,
and it's stomach churning how many people were involved and were connected to this. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus that has just shown up at a party or is mentioned in these emails, but I mean, there's I think a lot of the people involved in this stuff were very aware of what they were getting involved in.
Right. I think there's quite a lot. I think there might have been some passerbys. Some like they sort of passed through.
Sure.
They might have just been like completely oblivious. It was just that they were there for a very like indeterminate event.
Sure.
Yep.
But
there's a good chunk of them. It's like, you were there quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I could pull up a black screen so we could look at the files too. Because it's all blacked out.
Yeah. Redacted. It's all redacted. Like 95% of it's redacted.
Rich, if that doesn't give you a sign that maybe these people are up to no good, then I don't know what to say.
Well, you know what baffles me is the non-reaction by people. It's like when I mean a lot we're talking about this stuff like it's a new revelation to us, but I think Chris and I have kind of been aware of this stuff for years,
Mm-hmm.
But what blows my mind is so many of the people that let's say 5 years ago I would talk to them about, hey, do you have any idea like the people that run the world, like the stuff that they're into, and a lot of them would be like, oh, show me the evidence, or they'd be really skeptical. But now this stuff is coming out in the mainstream, and so I was sort of expecting that reaction, like finally now it's really coming out. Now people are seeing it. And people just do this mental gymnastics not to really react to it. And I mean, this all kind of comes back to the same topic, but it's like at what point do people say like, stop, this is enough. Like we need to do something about it.
Right. There needs to be something done.
Yeah.
It's really a matter of, and we were talking about this when we were out at dinner, was that, there's some people, they put the blinders on, that I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it because it's going to make me really mad.
Yep.
And I get it, because it's like it's a difficult issue to confront, because because it gives you this sense of hopelessness. Like, what do we do? But like we were saying before, is that the solution's not going to just present itself. It's something that we have to actively work towards and think about. It's not something that should go on the back burner just because we don't have a solution right now.
Right. How do you? Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating just watching the cult of personality behind, let's say Trump. That his loyal supporters. Like at what point do some of them say like, okay, like I totally thought this guy was a man and he's doing right on us, he's doing right for the country, but I have a real problem with him being mentioned in these files 5,000 times,
Right.
I feel like so many Trump supporters have been so committed to that narrative that there's no turning back now.
Right.
And that's just scary. That's just scary,
Like there's got to be a point to turning back. Like you're never too far gone. And like it's not even to say that those people are bad people have fallen into it. Like I was 100% MAGA for a while, and I mean I think there's a lot of good principles in there,
right?
For sure,
right.
Like it's not completely eroded of good moral principles. It's just that there has to be a point, because you're following a man,
Mm-hmm.
and that man, has sinful limitations.
Sure.
So there's a point where you have to jump off the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how far down the road you are, because
Yeah.
like if the wagon you're on is headed to hell,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
then it's time to jump off.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think that as a country we've become too obsessed with putting all our faith and hope in a human being,
Right.
as opposed to putting all our faith and hope in God, and making sure that our politicians
God's got to be first.
live up to some standard,
Yeah.
I think even in the conservative side, there's a lot of conservative Christians who I think their faith seems very plasticky to me.
Lukewarm.
It's decorum. Yeah, that's decorum.
Yeah.
And they're more invested in the political outcomes than the true result of their actual faith.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you have to put the world aside.
Right.
Right. Like if you're truly a Christian, you have to put the world aside, because the world is evil, and the only person you're supposed to follow is Christ.
Right.
So it's hard for some people to wrap their mind around, because it destroys some of the things that they grew up knowing all their life.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to tangle with these things, because if you don't, it's just going to keep going the same way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, some of there's some other places where you're seeing some retaliation. Like what is it? They just arrested Prince Andrew recently.
Right. Yeah, that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah.
To go after royalty, based on this new information that's come to light, to actually act on it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how all this unfolds. I don't think there's any accident in the timing with the invasion of Iran. I think it's like this stuff was becoming too big that even the Nancy Guthrie story couldn't distract people from it, and so now's a better time than ever to have a major global conflict. I mean, who knows what this will become, but I think a lot of that is like a lot of these agendas are being pushed forward at like rapid speed, because so much of this information is coming out. I mean, if 95% of these files were redacted, and even those that weren't redacted, like there's names blotted out, if that's as dangerous as it is, just imagine what this is going to bring to the surface.
Right.
Like a lot of people are kind of, I think, starting to step up. Almost, it's kind of like the prisoner dilemma.
Yeah.
If like two people are caught in a crime, and together, like let's say they're robbing a bank together, and the detectives separate them, and they kind of make a bargain with one guy. They say, "Hey, dude, rat out your boy here,
Yeah.
and we're gonna give you a reduced sentence." Like a lot of guys, even good friends, when they really think about the possible outcomes, are going to make that choice. And I feel with something like with the Epstein files is a lot of people. I think regardless of how much is redacted in the Epstein files, I think this is putting a lot of pressure on people that have intimate knowledge of some of this stuff, and they're kind of feeling that pressure to like, I better say something now and out that person or out that person, or they're gonna out me.
Right.
And you're gonna have more people coming forward, and it could just snowball,
Right.
So we need a world war.
We need a world war. Yeah. That's a hard one to wrap the mind around, because it's like because that means just admitting this is it. We're putting an end to it, because I at least I strongly believe if there was to be a conflict like that, it's going to be the end.
Do you?
I feel that way.
I don't think Iran. I mean, for a long time there was so much talk about Iran. Iran's military, and I don't think Iran really has a military force that we've been led to believe.
No.
Like, I'm surprised there was very little retaliation after we bombed their nuclear sites.
Right.
You know, and so that I really wonder how much of a real fight Iran could you know.
Yeah, Iran wouldn't put on a fight. It's really more so how everyone else around is going.
Okay,
to react.
like if China jumps in and then,
Yeah.
then Russia jumps in and then
Yeah.
you know everybody's playing tag team and we have
Yeah.
to go after each other. But then that brings up the whole topic of nuclear weapons. Are they real?
Are they real?
Is it a conspiracy?
Is
you
it
know,
a conspiracy?
you know that there's a big conspiracy around
really?
whether that's a whole rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah.
to see.
I think even Rogan had somebody on that was bringing this up, and they were showing like old the videos you used to see in school when you had to do like bomb reaction drills. I don't know if you ever did this in school, but they would like there'd be a whole segment on the nuclear tests and Bikini Atoll and all the different places where they tested the nukes, and a lot of that video footage alone can be debunked.
Yeah.
Again, it's I'm not saying that we haven't tested nuclear weapons, but the video footage itself is really suspect. It's really like that one picture that everybody's seen where that house just gets like demolished.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of evidence that whole thing is like it was like a small model house, and then people are like, why wasn't the camera blown off of its whatever it was filming from? Like if you had this nuclear blast, like how did they film it without the camera lens being damaged? You know that. There's a lot of.
It was AI.
It was AI. Yeah, it was AI. It was pre AI.
You know, they've had it for the longest time. They're just releasing it to
They're just slowly releasing it to us,
to the subservient humans.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I just breached the subject. I'm not saying that I disbelieve in nuclear weapons, but you know there are people that talk about that. You know that.
Oh, it's definitely something interesting to mess around. To like
aliens. That's next. Aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah.
We'll talk aliens.
Project
next time.
Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's. That was some pretty dark stuff there. I suppose now we should probably maybe move somewhere a little happier. About the monkey.
The monkey.
The monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's put the monkey on the screen here. Let's put the monkey on the screen. This is much better.
Was she abandoned by her mother, or was she taken away from her mother? I'm thinking. I mean, look, this is interesting because I've never seen this segment of the video before, but it's obvious that she's really attached to her trainer, you know, to her to the zookeeper. So that was her first abandonment issue. It wasn't with her mother; it was with
Yeah, and then now the trainer is the service animal.
The service animal, right? Right. And like we don't know what Punch did to this other monkey. Like there could be more.
Like there could be more to the story. Sort of like a police brutality clip of like we don't know what led up to
right.
that.
Maybe Punch has some other issues. You know,
he could.
Maybe Punch is hiding something under the stuffed monkey.
You know? He could have cocaine.
Maybe
in
the stuff
monkey.
cocaine laced bananas. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a thing. Probably in Colombia.
Wait, aren't they in Japan?
Or no, they're in Japan. Yeah. Very great, heartwarming. There we go.
Yes.
We moved. We've moved a lot of places in this, and we went through some topics. I think it was a very good conversation today.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think
day one.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get out of that. Go back to the feed here. Yeah, it was a very good day. Good conversations. We had pretty much 2 podcasts recorded. I think this one probably went a little bit longer than the first one.
Okay. Cool.
I really should figure out how to pull up something. Actually, no, it does show it right there. We're at 1 hour recording right now.
Okay.
On this segment.
Good.
So
Sweet. Yeah.
So it was a good section.
Awesome.
I can already feel it getting more comfortable.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
You know, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Getting used to
Less self-conscious.
Our little friend over there, ET. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even
The
notice,
webcam.
Didn't even notice him in the room that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So maybe we'll wrap up with a Bible verse.
Okay. Go for it, man. Yeah. Go for it.
Here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break out the good book here. I'm gonna find it. Let's see. So this one kind of came up with after my accident. Was kind of just sort of something that ran through my head. Let me find it here. We'll edit out this pause. I want to say it was. It says 48:10. All right, there we go. I found it. Yes, and this just kind of was sort of like an empowering thing for me to just a reminder that a lot of the things that we go through are just kind of to help us grow in making us more holy.
Holy. Yeah.
So Isaiah 48:10, I have refined you, but not as silver is refined. Rather, I have refined you in the furnace of suffering.
Awesome.
Because I think it's a necessary evil to go through suffering. And I a lot of people go through suffering and they immediately account it as Satan. And I think in some ways it is, but I think God allows it because He knows on the other end of that it's going to make you a better person
and make us stronger believers, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's not all bliss and vision boards and rainbows, Chris?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. And that God will bless you spiritually before He'll bless you in the flesh.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
That's our. Do you have something to say with that?
I love it, man. That's a good way to end it.
Yeah. Thank everybody for listening. Make sure to like, follow, to subscribe, and we'll try to maybe. I'll see. Maybe I can edit in a link below, but otherwise it should be on YouTube. The buttons will all be there. And then I think we're gonna try to do something like, or at least release something like this every Saturday.
Cool. Okay.
We'll do this once a week.
It might be remote, but we're gonna try to do something.
And it might not. Maybe at some point we'll start getting to do live streams, but for now, I think we'll focus on just getting our recording, so we could have some consistent feed coming through.
Yeah.
Maybe as careers shift, or like you're starting yours, and I'm kind of all over the place in mine, but we'll see what the future has to hold, and we'll make it work.
We'll find a way to do, at least do something once a week, and ideally it would be consistently a same day, but if not, we'll still find a way to make it work. Yeah,
we'll find a way to make it consistent, and then you can. I'm happy for any of you who follow us on this journey and see where it takes us. Maybe someday we'll be doing this in a studio somewhere. Thank you, Thomas, for coming. I'm sure it was a long drive from New Jersey, but
thanks for having me, brother. I always enjoy hanging out with you, man.
Yeah,
and this was fun, and enjoyed our time together for sure.
Yeah, time to wrap up because it's time for another beer. So
that's right. Yes.
All right. All right. Take care, everybody.